That's Nick.
And that's Joseph, and today we're here to talk about Mucho Mucho Amor, The Legend of Walter Mercado, which will be available to stream on Netflix July 8th, 2020. Premiered at the 2020 Sundance Film Festival. It was directed by Cristina, Costantini, and Kareem Tabsch.
It follows Mr. Mercado sort of like around like the last year of his life. It tells his full story, but we really focus on him towards the end of his life.
Yeah, it opens up by giving us a very brief overview of how Walter Mercado was probably the most world-renowned astrologer, and that suddenly disappeared in 2006. Nobody knows what happened. So there's a brief glint of conspiracy theory as there's a montage of where people think he's been, and then we go to Puerto Rico.
We find him in his home with his assistant William.
Willy Acosta.
Willy, living his most fabulous life. Still looks great. And the documentary culminates with sort of a retrospective being done
In Miami
about his career and life. And then we know he passed last year.
In
November of 2019. I really enjoyed this documentary. Mainly because Walter Mercado is such a fabulous, fascinating person, character.
Icon, really.
A lot of positive energy. So it was lovely. I mean, I could watch just hundreds of hours of footage of him just...
Oh yeah, you could just watch...
Sitting at home being fabulous. And so that was very, very enjoyable. I think the documentary is well put together.
It is. I think it benefits greatly from him just being a magnetic persona.
He's beyond magnetic.
Right, and also being able to see him in his full glory up close and personal.
Yeah, that's a treat to see someone of his sort of significance. So, I mean, it's pared down because it's just him sitting in his home, but he's fully done up.
Yeah, but also, again, even there, no frills, no airs, just a very friendly human being.
It's just a testament to, how special he is. Yeah. I don't know what else to say except, well, it's just, we get glimpses into what happened to him, so... Because I don't want to start off with what I didn't like about the documentary, but we kind of skip over a lot of what made him so notable, and we get to his sort of business dealings with his previous or old business manager, Bill Bakula.
Guillermo Bill Bakula.
So the crux of his issue with why he kind of vanished for a while was that he had signed over his entire universe, like his likeness, everything about his brand, past, present, and future, to this man's production company for eternity. Which was a stupid business move, but it worked out well for a while until Walter realized that he was sort of using his name and likeness in ways he didn't like. So the psychic network kind of went in a direction he really didn't like. He found out that some of his old horoscopes were being recycled. So when he expressed concern and had a lawyer look at his contract, he realized that he had a really shitty deal and entered into a 6-year lawsuit that basically broke him. Lost millions of dollars, wasn't able to perform as himself, so wasn't able to generate revenue. And then once it was resolved favorably, so Walter was able to then use his likeness again, he had a heart attack.
2 days after.
Poor thing. Yeah. So recovered from that, was never quite the same. The documentary explains very lightly that perhaps part of why he didn't resurface after the incident was that in 2006, after him getting sick, was that he was very concerned about his aesthetics and couldn't really live up to what he thought the people wanted to see. So, for his first appearance, so from 2000, he didn't have another appearance until 2009, and then for 10 years never made a public appearance until he shows up at this retrospective in Miami.
For that celebrating 50 years, because he began as the personality he's known for in 1969.
So if you don't know who Walter Mercado is, you will after watching this, and you will be intrigued.
Sure, yeah.
For those who do, it's a must-watch. I'll just say that I think what the documentary is missing is it doesn't do a good job of expressing how significant he is. to like a global community. Because I think I know in my household and in my Spanish language family, Walter Mercado was like a staple. Even until he died, my mom would call me and read me my Walter horoscope. So I don't think the film does a good job of expressing that if you don't know who he is.
Right. I think it reflects basically that if you're Latino, you will know who he is most likely, and everybody else is like,
I think part of the issue is they may not have had access to footage. Because they recycle some things more than once, and I think that's part of why we don't get the magnitude of how significant he was. Because even like to a global community, they only show one clip, and they show it twice of him. It appears he's in front of a very large audience, which I think was in Brazil, maybe not, and he's throwing roses. But it's like, this man was like the Pope. Like, everywhere he traveled, there were mobs of people. The documentary really doesn't show that very well.
You know what I think it's going to be like a future generations trying to explain what Princess Di was to people and what she represented. Because also, much like Princess Di, the body of work is not there. There aren't all these novels and films that we can cull from to be like, see, look at this influence.
Yeah, her cultural significance really needs to... It's hard to understand without the tangible things.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Like, Walter Mercado doesn't have like a library of books he's written and TV shows and movies he's appeared in. So it's kind of, he's just reduced down to like these sort of weird clips of this, very like fey, androgynous looking man in these fabulous gowns reading horoscopes. But I think he's so much more than that. The next thing I want to talk about is the documentary does spend some time talking to queer people about what he meant to them. Because the culture that really embraced him also is not the most sort of...
is a homophobic, misogynistic culture.
Right. It can be. So the sort of dichotomy of that and the complexity of that, the documentary really doesn't get into, except to say that people accepted him, but then he was also often made fun of in like Spanish language media. But then it really doesn't... there's a lot of hypocrisy there in that people really saw him as like a guiding light, but also wouldn't have accepted him if he were their next door neighbor. I wish it would have spent more time with that. I'm assuming a big part of that is the people in charge of his estate, because we get to meet his 4 nieces, who he was very close to, even though we don't really see any footage of them with him. They say they're very close to him.
They're in with him in Miami, and
he mentions them in the beginning, like, I have 4 nieces who are important.
And there's some archival photographs.
There are archival photographs, but they're not with him while he's being interviewed for them.
No.
But we kind of get a glimpse into like what he means to them, and I'm assuming that they have control over the documentary to some degree.
Sure.
So they don't really get into like his sexuality.
But he also always danced around that. He didn't want to be defined in those terms because
which is totally fine.
He has a little monologue about how he has a relationship with the wind. His sexuality is with his environment.
All the living things.
Because to me, that is somebody is saying that they don't want to be related to this base common...
Well, he says there's a saying in Puerto Rico that I don't recall the exact words, but it's something to the effect of like, when you can see something, you don't need to ask.
Sure.
Like, obviously I'm like...
But I think Mercado himself, those things would detract from the energy that he was.
Oh, for sure. I think if he would have said, early on in his career that I'm gay or that I'm maybe non-binary or trans or whatever he would have said back then, he wouldn't have been accepted.
Right. Because
so I understand why he didn't, but I just think like it's so sad that there's so many great public figures who never really got a chance to come out and be their authentic selves because they were afraid. I often think about Luther Vandross, who I don't know was gay, but I'm assuming he was.
But that's a common theme. They've always made queer characters asexual.
It just makes me sad because he's such a fabulous person, and the documentary does spend some time. So Lin-Manuel Miranda is in it. He's a super fan. He actually gets to meet Walter Mercado in a lovely sort of exchange that seemed a little amped up because he was on camera. Because at one point he says, I don't know why I'm being emotional, and my first thought was like, because you're on camera. So he's a little extra, but it's lovely. And he has some kind words about Walter Mercado.
Mm-hmm.
But during that sort of scene or segment, they also explain how there's been a resurgence amongst young people referencing Walter Mercado, like in memes and so on social media, which is fun. Because he is a very significant figure to a lot of people.
And also how fortuitous that Alexis Mateo on RuPaul, on All Stars.
And then the All Stars 5 of RuPaul's Drag Race, Alexis Mateo just did him. So that's like perfect timing.
Yeah, it's really great timing.
Yeah. What would you give this documentary?
I'd say 3 out of 5. It's one of the, it's really just him. Like you walk away experiencing him as a subject with kind of a rosy glow, and it's one of those people, kind of like a Mr. Rogers almost, that would if there were more people that were trying to leave the world a better place.
Yeah, I would give it 3 out of 5. I definitely recommend it. I don't think it's like a groundbreaking documentary, and it doesn't reveal really anything that we don't already know about him.
But then do we want him to not be an enigma also?
Yeah, I mean, I just want more, I think. I think I'm just disappointed because I want more of him. Like, I could watch 8 documentaries about him because he's such a lovely person to listen to.
But yeah, it's you want to see that interiority too. Like, what was your love life? What was your, how...
We get nothing of his personal life. Like, literally nothing.
Stars of the old days, everything was rumor. There was so much that was not substantiated.
I'm just sad because I feel like we get nothing. He seemed happy and he had, family and a close companion who in the documentary, Willy, who says, like, I've never laid a finger on him, like, we're just friends. But
it also, like, defies everything in his presentation of himself.
Oh yeah, because I thought he looks like a lot of people, including you said Piper Laurie.
Older Piper Laurie.
I thought Carolyn Manzo from Real Housewives of New Jersey. I also thought when he was young he looked like Rose Byrne.
Yeah, Leona Helmsley, Glenn Close.
The beautiful Leona Helmsley.
But I mean, yeah, like the older white women.
He's just so fabulous.
Yeah, but doesn't give a damn. Is very. This is me, and this is how I want to present myself, and I feel beautiful, and there's a lot of power in that.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.